No matter what video game you play, you feel that there is a very iconic part of that game. Call of Duty has a Nuketown. Been through like 5, 6, 7 Call of Duties, and it's just one of the most iconic maps. Elden Ring has its really hard bosses and just overall really hard gameplay. And even Fortnite has its really iconic items, like a legendary scar all the way back from like season 1 or season 0 when, the game was actually still good. And that goes without saying, GTA has many, many different iconic parts of the game. And here is a list of all the things I'll be covering: vehicles, buildings, characters, landmarks, Easter eggs, features, and points of interest. Now in total there is 20 different iconic parts of this game I'm covering, so let's get started with vehicles. And here we are. First up, we got the Zentorno. I'm only doing 3 vehicles, and most of them also have 3 in them, except for one, which only has 2 that I'm showing off. But the Zentorno, ever since it released in 2014, it's kind of just been like a fan favorite vehicle. It's good, handling, speed, all of that stuff. It even looks great. Now, I believe what made it so iconic is just the time it released as well. It was released at a time where it could shine in the game very well, and it's just really unique. I believe it's based off of a Sesto Elemento in real life, and the customization it comes with, like the orange and black look, it is just so iconic in my opinion. This next vehicle is actually in the military base, so I have to use a bit of finesse, better known as just calling Lester and turn cops blind eye, and I'm gonna actually steal a military jet. Blind eye, and we gotta jump in here. This is actually a very iconic part of GTA, jumping in the military base here, but I didn't include it, but you can just pretend that it is. Whoa. Yeah, at least we're landing it. Or kind of landing it. Now, if you don't know, for some reason, the jet in this game is called the Laser. It released with the game, since it's in the military base. Over time, it has become kind of bad because it got nerfed. And there's a lot of other aircraft that are better than it. And what I mean by it got nerfed is the explosive cannon. Quickly show it right now. You can see on the ground that there's explosions going on. This thing used to have an insane explosive cannon, like doubling the speed that it currently is. And it's still a good aircraft, but the downsides to it is, 1, it got nerfed, and 2, it's $6.5 million to purchase it. Whereas you can buy the Raiju for like a couple million more, I think, or maybe just 1 more million. And it outperforms the Laser in like every single way possible. This is still a very iconic vehicle, and I don't think it'll ever be forgotten in the game. And here's our third and final vehicle of the video, being the Rhino Tank, another military vehicle. I really wanted to include something that wasn't a military vehicle as the third one, but I honestly couldn't. I genuinely could not think of a vehicle that would be iconic enough for anybody to recognize except for the Rhino Tank. And it kind of has the same situation as the Laser. It was arguably the best land vehicle in the entire game when it came out, like how the Laser was arguably the best aircraft when it came out as well. But you gotta keep in mind, being iconic is not all about being the best in the video game. It's more or less being about remembered by somebody or a group of people or everybody. And I think this does a really good job at being remembered because it's not a vehicle that just disappears in the game. You will come across it if you go to the military base, because you can buy hangars there. You could also purchase this for $1.5 million, which isn't that bad. And you can actually do a launch glitch with it. Some of you might not know, but there is a glitch right about here on the map where if you have like a Conjali and a Rhino Tank, you can launch literally across the entire map. And if you want to see a video on that, I will make one. It's a very unique glitch, but that was the vehicles. If you guys got any other ideas for like iconic vehicles, let me know. Maybe I can make a part 2 to this, but let's get on with buildings since vehicles is now off of the list. I have a good feeling no one's going to disagree with me on the 3 buildings I chose, just mainly because, I mean, they're no-brainers. First up, we have the Maze Bank here. This is the tallest building in the entire game. It is pretty freaking tall, I must say. It goes all the way up there. And, a lot of people like to land planes up there as like a stunt or whatever. It's also iconic just because, this game is based off of LA. So pretty much everything in this game is recognizable to some degree. But the Maze Bank, everyone knows it. You're going to see it. Even if you're all the way across the entire map and you see the city skyline, you're going to see the Maze Bank because it's the tallest building. And you can purchase it for about $4 million, most expensive property in the whole game, which isn't really worth it in my opinion. Now this next one needs no introduction. It's the Mile High Club, the building that's been worked on for 11 years. And if you don't really know what I mean by 11 years, the game has been out for that long, and this building has been in the exact same state ever since it released. Now, I'm not sure as to what this building was going to be purposed for. It would be a cool building to own. I mean, just look at this. It is huge. Probably within, like, surface area, it is bigger than the Maze Bank, but not taller than the Maze Bank. And it would be pretty cool if, like, the final DLC of this game was the Mile High Club. Like, a send-off as, like, Been waiting for this for 11 years, and now here it is. It might be a huge disappointment, but I still think very iconic building. And the last building I have on here is the observatory. I actually wasn't sure if this was a real building until a couple months ago when I saw an IRL video of people going to it. And I don't think it's iconic in GTA Online, but in the story mode it is. There's a couple missions, I believe, that you go to it, and it has the very iconic mission of Davey, how you doing? And I mean, just the view here. Probably one of the best views in the game from the observatory, because you can see the entire city, and at night when all the lights are on, it looks gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Now, with the buildings being done, I'm actually going to skip to Easter eggs, because there is one that I am actually limited on, because you have to wait till a very specific time in the night. Some of you might know what it is, but I have to head over there, and when the time hits, I will show off what it is that I wanted to show you guys. I do believe I have arrived. Here it is on the map. If you know, you know. I think I gotta wait from like anywhere like 2 to like 6 in the morning in this game, but just to make sure that I'm in the right spot, there should be a blood splatter on the edge or something. I don't know. I thought there was a word or something. Maybe it's removed off online, but I'll have to double check though before I move on. Oh, wait, never mind. I see it. It just spawned in. I didn't think it was this early, but there it is. It is a ghost. So, oh, I guess the red markings only spawn in when the ghost is spawned in. But here it is. You zoom in on the sniper. You actually can't even really see her face. I don't know how close I can get, because she does disappear once you get close enough. Did they change it? I guess you can get close to her now. I mean, here she is. It's not really that scary, because it's just a ghost. But yeah, here it is. I think this is Jack. And the story behind this is this girl's husband pushed her off a cliff. I can't quite remember why, but within this game, there's different websites. I don't know what it's called, but they give like stories to different Easter eggs you can find, and I think it's pretty cool how much detail Rockstar went into this, but that's this Easter egg. So let's move on to the next one. So we have made it to the next destination, being all the way at the top of Mount Chiliad here, and this one, I could confidently say is probably one of the most iconic Easter eggs in any video game. The Mount Chiliad mural. I don't know if this has ever been solved before. Correct me if I am wrong though. Now I honestly can't tell you what this is telling you as a player. I know what this is. It's a UFO that could spawn above Mount Chiliad. More on that after this. Then here we have the jetpack, which was something people were trying to figure out for the longest time, because I believe there was a jetpack in San Andreas, and then people were trying to get one in this game. There technically is one. It's called the Thruster now. It's on Warstock Cash and Carry, and it's somewhere in here, I think. Here it is, the Thruster. And then now the other two things, I'm not quite sure. This, I think, is just like saying you could fly the UFO. I don't know. And then here's an egg. I do know in the game files and like mod menus and stuff, you can spawn in like alien eggs. But that's as far as I know this mural goes. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about it not being solved or the true meaning behind it. I don't know. And then the more on that later when I was talking about the UFO is right here. So if you've ever come back to this, the lookout, you'll see on the back it says come back when your story is complete, and then it has a little UFO logo underneath here. UFOs are not in GTA Online unless you're in a Halloween week and Rockstar adds them in. They did that last year, which was really cool. I actually did not play, but it was a really cool feature. Now, in story mode, when you have 100% in your story, there's one that spawns here, right above Mount Chiliad. There's one that spawns above Fort Zancudo here. Also one that spawns above the hippie camp right about here. And then there's also one that's underwater right over here. I could go check that one out, but I'm going to be honest, I'm terrified of water. Even if there's nothing in it, I hate water. It's just something I don't like. And for the sake of showing you guys, here are the pictures of each UFO. The one at Mount Chiliad, one at Fort Zancudo, the one at the hippie camp, which looks very similar to the one at Mount Chiliad, and then the one underwater, which again looks very similar to the one at Mount Chiliad. And that is the Easter eggs marked off of the list. I don't have any more to show. And while we're on the subject of showing some pictures off for the different iconic parts of the game, I'm gonna go ahead and use the characters. I only chose 3 characters. Anybody knows these. Even if you don't play GTA, you know who these characters are. First up, we have Trevor. Iconic just because of how he looks, how he acts, and just who he is as a person. Next up, we have Lester. He is an interesting character in the game. Obviously, he's very smart. He's a hacker in the game, and sometimes he comes off as a creep, so a lot of people know him as that. And Franklin. You don't technically start the game off with Franklin, but you play through a lot of it with him, because it's kind of like his story and Michael's story at the same time, because Franklin is learning from Michael and he's just a good guy. So Franklin is usually a fan favorite in the game, and a lot of people remember him and recognize him at the same time. Now that his character's done, that was pretty fast. And we only have 3 more things to talk about, so let's move on to landmarks. Now, 2 of the landmarks, this might be kind of cheesy to do, but I literally did actual land, not like points of interest or anything like that, because that's separate that I put in the video. Obviously, the most iconic one in GTA is Mount Chiliad. I am slowly falling off of it, so kind of getting a good view of it is impossible here, but probably a better view would be at the bottom, probably all the way at the observatory, but you can just see behind me. It is just a behemoth of a landmark in this game. And the other one, while I'm going down here and almost gonna die, it's the Alamo Sea. It's right in front of me. This whole lake right here. You could make an argument that that's kind of stupid to make water a landmark in the game, but I think the Alamo Sea, if you were to see the whole thing with a one picture, you could recognize it, even if you don't play GTA. It has a really unique shape. And if you don't know, there is actually a cargo plane in the water. If you don't know what the cargo plane is, it's the largest plane in the entire game. And the reason it's in there is because in story mode, you actually crash one into the water, which is pretty cool. It's nice when Rockstar actually adds story mode elements that already happened into online, since online, I believe, happened after the story mode. If you disagree with this landmark, I completely understand, but I'm going to do the quarry. And there's actually some dump trucks here too. The quarry in this game, I don't know if it's really like iconic or not, but I think it could be recognized by any GTA player just because of like how it looks. And there is a lot of missions that do happen here. God, there's a lot of dump trucks here. There's 3 right there. There's 2 where I was. Oh, well, it despawned, but there was 2 where I was, and it's like it's a quarry or something. Like they use dump trucks here. It's weird. But the reason why I'm kind of iffy on it is it's so far out of the way. Like if you're gonna go on the highway here, you're going straight this way. You're not going over here unless the mission you're doing specifies to come over here. But I'm still going to put it in this video because I feel like, you know, it can be iconic to some degree. And that's the landmarks finished. We only got 2 more things to do. So let's do the features. Now, features could really be anything in the entire game, but I specifically did things that this game features that no other does. Now, I believe that the biggest feature of this game is the entire map. I think this has one of the most iconic looking maps in any game, just because of the shape of it, the different landmarks in the game, how long it's been around for like 11 plus years. And I don't really know who doesn't know the map unless, again, you have never played the game or ever seen it before. And in that case, you're probably an older person, not on the internet. But still, the map's very iconic. And then the other thing that ties into it is the driving physics of the game. I believe that there is no other game with driving physics like this game. It has a very arcadey feel like most video games do that aren't going for realism, which isn't always a good thing, but in this one, every vehicle handles differently. Some, like the Wagner I'm driving now, have an extremely good handling. You can almost never spin out, but the top speed isn't that good, whereas other vehicles can have a really high top speed, poor handling, or both poor handling and poor speed, or, you know, high speed and good handling. It is not the case of like you just turn left or right and, you know, you'll make the turn. You actually have to think about how to turn. Some vehicles have body roll that you have to kind of counteract. Some vehicles might drift around a lot and you have to correct it by counter steering, and the game just has such good driving physics. It's once you know how to operate every vehicle and how to drive them, the game is really enjoyable. And once you learn the entire map where all the different roads are and the different boosting techniques like double clutching, curb boosting, brake boosting, the game just becomes so fun just to drive around. And that's like the biggest reason why I never fly in the game, because flying doesn't really have anything going with it. It's just, you're just in the air. Whereas on the ground, you have to dodge all these obstacles, traffic, stoplights, different debris. Like, it's so fun to just drive in this game. But then the last feature is also the graphics. I mean, for a 2013 game, the graphics look really good. Granted, I am on PC, and the graphics look a little bit better than the older consoles, but then the new gen consoles improved on the graphic quality. It doesn't look like a lot better, but there's many things that kind of our quality of life changes in the graphic aspect on the new consoles. But then again, on PC, you could even get graphics mods that make the game look outstanding. Better than real life, arguably. But those were really the features I chose that stood out to me the most. Of course, we still have points of interest to do, but I do believe that those features I went over kind of make GTA what GTA is. If it didn't have this iconic map, the game probably wouldn't be as good. If the driving physics weren't like this and were instead like GTA 4, it wouldn't be as enjoyable to drive around. And then if the graphics weren't as good or being improved upon, the game also just wouldn't be that appealing to a lot of people, because graphics are a big part of why gamers like to play games sometimes. But enough of the features, let's move on to the points of interest being the last thing on this video. So points of interest are very similar to landmarks. Technically speaking, points of interest are landmarks, but the Vinewood sign is one of the 2 points of interest I'm showing here, and it's very reminiscent of Hollywood sign in real life. Because, you know, that's kind of the whole thing of it. Los Santos is based off of LA, and LA has Hollywood, while Los Santos has Vinewood. The sign kind of looks like shit in this game. I'm not gonna lie, it looks run down. I wish it was improved upon. I don't even know if at night it lights up or not. But anyone can recognize this, because, you know, if you've seen the Hollywood sign, you could be like, Vinewood, that seems familiar, probably from a game I played before. Or, you know, if you see Vinewood and you just know it's GTA, it's because, you know, Hollywood, I guess, is the big thing that I'm getting at here. But we gotta move on to the last thing of the video, being the Del Perro Pier, which is, of course, all the way over here. Now, the pier kind of has the exact same story as a Vinewood sign. It's very reminiscent of the actual pier from LA or California. I don't know if this pier is actually part of LA or not, but they look identical. The Ferris wheel, the roller coaster, the actual pier itself going into the water, everything down to a T, because the whole point of this game was to, you know, be a very similar look to LA. There isn't really a whole lot you can do with the pier in the game. Like, you can ride the roller coaster and the Ferris wheel, but it's not like it's fun. It's really boring. You don't do much with it, and I wish there was more involvement with the pier itself. Like, could you imagine there was a mission where you had to, like, repair the roller coaster, or like the Ferris wheel like literally broke off and like landed somewhere and you had to like pick it up with a cargo bob or something like that and repair it? That'd be so cool. But unfortunately, we don't get anything like that. Now, that has been 20 of the most iconic parts of GTA Online as a whole. If you do believe there's more things I should cover in another iconic video, let me know, because I don't really have any other ideas other than like vehicles to include. Maybe there's actually things underwater I could do. That'd be iconic. But yeah, that's the video. If you guys got any other cool ideas I should try, let me know as well. But I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, night, morning, whatever time it is for you you're watching this, and stay safe out there. I love every single one of you. Come on, Simeon, what the fuck are you doing?
Come call me when you need something.
No.